Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I am Dinar Triwulandari at Rashad will be presenting about chunking. So the first one is about local translating. Honig is 1991 noted that love to learn and apply systemic language rules, but by applying this absolute micro-strategy rules they believe the elemental reality of translating. More recently, Shatterman says observes that trainees' understanding of the relation between original and translation is usually quite narrow, is often accompanied with a lateral approach to translation. The term local is used by Wells to describe this type of decoding and encoding a translation, and global to describe cognitive recreation based on frame analysis. The terms local and global comes from Sternberg. For processing behavior intelligence, he claimed more intelligent persons tend to spend more time in global higher order planning, a higher order processing which takes the wider context into account. The idea of local interpretation has also been put forward by Brown and Yule. Their principle of local interpretation is instruct the hearer to not to construct a context any longer, larger, and then to arrive in interpretation. Next one is about chunking. The term chunking has been taken from computing and basically means to change the size of unit. A unit can be a major larger chunking up, which means that as more as comes into view, we move from the specific to general or from the part to the whole. Moving in the other direction, we chunk down from the general to the specific or from the whole the parts. In the term of language translation, translator interpreters need to be able to chunk up and down to establish wider and narrower forms that or reference the source text. A number of translation theorists have to suggest a chunking strategy. Becker in 2018 proposed looking for a more general word or chunking up to overcome the problem of non-equivalence. Newmark discusses the importance of chunking down, which he calls the cultural compositional analysis, while chunking is developed for medical translation in Monta Gonzalez Davies or and for audiovisual translation in Charo. Chunking up. As an example, let us think our armchair. To step up to the next level, that is there a more general level. One would ask, what is the example of? What is our armchair an example in this context? Or alternatively, what is an armchair in this context? What is armchair a type? A logical answer could be chair. To move to up next more general level, the same question is asked. What is a chair example or type of type of? In this particular, we arrive at furniture. This is not only the answer, but in each case, there will be a relevant link in Sperber and Wilson. Use the term of relevant. If we are more interested in functional relationship, the first chunk up class association would be a seat because an armchair function as a seat. Next one is chunking down. This is a reverse operation from the general to the specific. The question to ask is, what is the specific example of this group? This may lead us on this case from furniture to chair and armchair. We can discern further to a particular of type of armchair and contextualize the armchair down to particular armchair in the living room. Next one is about lateral chunking. This procedure is particularly useful for mediating between culture and provides the type of mental gymnastic or mind shifting required to change to the cultural frame. In chunking sideways, the translator, interpreter, or cultural mediator is looking for alternative that can more readily access source the culture frames. Bell provides a procedural model of process, though he does not specify how the model could be practically applied. Number three is global translation mediation and mediation between culture. 1. The text function. When a reader reads, she or he bring a genre to mind. The closer the text being processed is the noun type, the more fully it can be processed, the further translation be made. Chunking makes this procedural conscious. Newbert and Shreve note that one of the findings of cognitive psychology is that text comprehension only occurs when the comprehender actively conjectures or projects the semantic content in text. More recently, Colina asserts the identification of organizational and linguistic genre and linguistic and feature of genre and text type facilitates comprehension and mental visualization, as do other types of situational schemas or background knowledge. The next one is chunking from text to culture. A virtual translation is useful metaphor for the vision a translator has of what the target text and its associated frames will be like. The translator or interpreter faced with choices will test the alternative against the feeling or he or she relating to the virtual text. Through chunking, they can decide whether to produce a more source culture oriented translation or a more target culture oriented one. Culture Bound Lexis in 2000, a popular work of fiction of the Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, age 13. Adrian has a friend by the name Maxwell House. To deal with the name, the translator can Chang retroly and quite legitimately simply borrow the name Maxwell House. This would, in general, be most the logical strategy with regard to personal names. However, the fictional name is not casual nor the connotation. Christopher Taylor notes that the contraposition of Maxwell first name and House surname creates a comic effect. The translator with the semantic construct can then begin to work on the target culture. She or he will have a feel what is needed from the variety of frames making up the virtual text will they open up. And an inspired solution was the Lipton Corbulante for Italian Lipton tea or rather tea Lipton synonymous with Anglo-Saxon culture. The advertising of the product in Italy at the time was the laboratory comic, an American speaking Italian with strong mid-Atlantic accent. Next is about culture-bound behavior. The English version shows that the engagement is concluded as follows. They read the opening verse of the Quran, as was the custom at all engagement party. Then refreshment would pass around. While the German translation refers to reading the Fatiha for the first verse from Quran, as is customary from engagement, and earlier to having something to drink. In both cases, we have an instance explicitation of a cultural implicit, namely that reading Fatiha is a custom and engagement practice in Egypt and other Arab countries. As for the celebratory drinks, the English translator chung up and renders called the culture specific or an occasion specific starbat as refreshment. One of the aims the translator as a cultural mediator is to help the reader gain an insight into the source culture. One insight is provided by the translation above by explicitly providing additional cultural context. In other cultural contexts, this is not so. We take us to the out of awareness culture that whole seated in the thread of culture. French philosopher Pascal Bergner, for example, has written an entire book of the French aversion to speaking plainly about money. Particularly, thus will have it. Raymond Carroll, a former professor of French, explained For her competitors, the face of American could easily replaced by a dollar sign of incurable materialism, of arrogance, the power of vulgar and unrefined pleasure. Next one is about chunking and culture fellows. The translator as a culture mediator that's either to be conscious of his or her own tolerance limits and deal with them and or already in a meta position to direct the reader to a comparable frame. For another example, culture fellows will return to the American writer Tom Wolfe in 90, and his chronicling of life in New York. Not usually there are many references to the price of things. The logical levels of a translator or interpreter test. Nevertheless, as mediator in this is it the translator jobs to encompass the most likely interpretation, but from the source text reader's view and that target text reader with due attention to any other actor involved. The question can be asked in every level of logical levels models. One can chunk up from the environment or down from the identity and role to get more information, and which will be fed to virtual text. At the deepest level is the role and mission in society, where there should be logical goings on that work for identity level that a translator interpreter as mediator. This is the end of our presentation. Thank you for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.